Greetings from EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to see security in networks. We have already covered how the networks are being threatened by the attackers. There may be active or passive attacks on the network. Today we are going to see what other things can occur on the network so that network information can be stolen by the attacker. Pinging, how to ping a computer, OS fingerprinting, how OS can help you get important information from the system, or password, which is usually used to secure any network or any website or any computer. What care should be taken to avoid attacks on the network, and how networks are being attacked, that we will see in the detail in the module. How attackers attack the networks: pinging, port scanning, social engineering, intelligence, operating system and application fingerprinting, bulletin board and charts, and availability of documentation. First is pinging. Determine if host is alive or not. We used nmap command to find out how a pinging can help you get information. We will go ahead with social engineering, how attackers attack the network. The second thing is social engineering. Social skill and personal interaction is used to get security relevant information and thereafter get something that permits the attacker to attack. Means the attacker will try to be friend of yours and will try to get some information that can help him to attack your system. The attacker impersonates someone from inside the organization. Victim help the attacker so he doesn't report this incident to the administrator. The third is intelligence. Gather the bits of information from various sources and put them together. Dumpster diving. It's a term used for looking for the items those are there in the trash. Items which has been deleted, they might carry certain important information, but they are deleted, not permanently but moved to the trash. So attacker will try to retrieve those information from the trash and will put the bits together to make a significant information. Attacker may get network diagrams, printouts of security devices configuration, system designs and source code from the rubbish bins or recycle boxes. Next is operating system and application fingerprinting. Attacker needs to know which commercial server application is running, what is its version and what is the underlying operating system and its version. Server, its version, operating system and its version. The network protocols which you know are standard and vendor independent. If I talk about network protocols, which are they? Suppose for example, you take an example of TCP and UDP. How TCP works or how UDP works, those are predefined. But vendors' code implemented for TCP and UDP may have variations in interpretation and behavior. For example, TCP is a connection oriented protocol. Sender and receiver coordinates the packets by assigning sequence number. So some implementation respond a given sequence number means when the acknowledgement is sent from the receiver, it acknowledges the same sequence number as the packet which was sent. If packet 1 is sent, then acknowledgement will also contain sequence 1. In other implementation, if the packet sent was of sequence number 1, the receiver sends the acknowledgement number 2, saying that receiver has already received the packet number 1 and now it is waiting for the packet number 2. So sequence number is utilized, but implementation differs. New version implement a new feature, but old version will reject that new feature. These peculiarities are called operating system or application fingerprint and can mark the manufacturer and version. How to get OS fingerprinting? For that nmap program is there. The command is nmap -o and give the IP address. In our example, we have given the IP address 192.168.1.1. Going ahead with application fingerprinting, the attacker might use a telnet application to send meaningless messages to another applications. HTTP, SMTP, POP and FTP. These are the protocols which are being used in the application. HTTP works on port number 80, SMTP on 25, POP works on 110, FTP works on 21. So, they may respond by saying which server the application is using or what it says. For example, server is Netscape Commerce 1.12 and your browser sent a non-HTTP compliant message, or it says it is a Microsoft eSMTP mail service and its version. So, these are the replies and they tells the attacker which application and versions are running. Footprinting technique: discover the information related to environment of an organization. What kind of environment? Internet, intranet, remote access and extranet. Includes the information about domain name, users, groups, network blocks, network services, applications, system architecture, intrusion detection system, specific IP addresses and access control mechanisms. For websites, open source footprinting involves searching through DNS tables, scanning certain IP addresses for open ports, making whois request. Check the HTML source code of the website to look for links, comments, meta tags, etc. It says when you are using or when you are typing any URL, to resolve that URL, our search engine looks into the DNS tables. So, this is where you can get some information about the websites or the server or the machine being used. Open source footprinting involves a web page, Yahoo or other directories, multiple search engines, use advanced search, AltaVista where reverse links can be searched to vulnerable sites, dumpster diving, physical access means false ID, unauthorized access, whois query, NSLOOKUP. NSLOOKUP is used for querying the DNS. What is whois query? Identify the names of the organization and related network. Domain names represents the company's presence on the internet. Which are the types of whois query? Registrar, organizational, domain, network, point of contact called POC. Registrar displays specific registrar information and associated whois servers, means the server is registered with whom. Organizational displays all information related to a particular organization. Domain displays all information related to a particular domain. Network displays all information related to a particular network or a single IP address. Point of contact, it displays all information related to a specific person, the administrative contacts. NSLOOKUP, as I mentioned, queries the DNS information for host name resolution. NSLOOKUP shows the host name and IP addresses of the DNS server that is configured for the local system and then display a command prompt for further query. Public database security. All information obtained are at public disclosure. Prevent exposures due to regional internet registries. It is called RIR records, regional internet registries record. You all use email addresses, those are listed on RIR records and they should end with a domain different from your organization's name. We all know about PO boxes. When you don't want to give your exit address, what you use is a PO box. So, your all the physical letters would be delivered to that box and then you can collect your posts. Here also RIRs allow RIRs, that means regional internet registries, allow use of PO box addresses for individual and organizational contacts. Personal contact information is not exposed to potential intruders. We have deeply seen how open source footprinting works, in that we explored NSLookup, and then comes public database security. All information obtained are at public exposures. Bulletin boards and chats. We all know there are certain boards where the informations are being given to the others. For example, if company has released a new version of the software, they will put it on the bulletin board so that others can receive the information. What does an attacker do? Attacker posts their exploits and techniques. They also read what others have developed. They search for additional information on systems, applications or site. Internet is usually open for all, so there is no guarantee that all informations being there on the internet are reliable or accurate. Availability of documentations. Vendors themselves distribute information useful to an attacker. Means sometimes what happens, a company itself reveals the product information so that let others know how it works, so that any deficiency occurring in the product can be identified. Application vendors investigate a Microsoft product through a resource kit produced by Microsoft. That is again a source of an attack. Threats in transit, we have two terms, eavesdropping and wiretapping. Eavesdropping is what? Overhearing without expending an extra effort, and wiretapping is intercepting the communication through some effort. What is a threat in transit? For that, I am going to introduce a term called cable inductance threats. All signals in an Ethernet or other LAN are available on the cable for anyone to intercept. Our Ethernet cables are lying in open, so anyone who can intercept can read what is being passed on the cables. If you know, the wires, ordinary wires emit radiation. By a process called inductance, an intruder can tap a wire and read radiated signals without making physical contact with cable. So, I introduced a term called inductance, in which intruder actually does not have to make a physical contact with cable, but through a radiated signal it can make out what is being passed on the wire. The equipment needed for picking up signals is inexpensive and easy to obtain, but the only condition is intruder must be close to a cable. There must be certain distance maintained between a cable and an intruder. Threats in transit, we are talking about cables. If attacker cannot take advantage of inductance, the attacker intercept a cable by direct cut, and as a part of repair, attacker attaches a secondary cable and receives copy of all signals along the primary cable. So, what an attacker has done, it has intercepted a cable by a cut and attached another cable so that information can be passed to him. Attacker carefully exposes some outer conductor, connect to it, carefully exposes some inner conductor and connect to it. Both operations alter the resistance, and it is called impedance of the cable. Next comes software based packet sniffer. Sniffer is a term used for a piece of software that captures the traffic flowing into and out of a computer attached to a network. How networking is done? Networking is being done through Ethernet. The Ethernet protocol broadcasts the packet to all hosts on the network. Packet header contains the name of the machine, receiver of the packet, and others ignore the packet. Means the packet header contains the source and the receiver's address. It goes from machine to machine. The machine tries to check what is the destination address mentioned in the packet, and is it the address of its own machine. If yes, it takes the packet, otherwise it ignores the packet. But there is one mode called promiscuous mode. If a network interface is configured in promiscuous mode, it captures or it accepts all packets. What is the aim of capturing all the packets? To grab username and password traveling across the network. We already have seen two terms in the previous modules, active and passive attack. This kind of attack is called passive attack, where an attacker is trying to read what is being passed on the network through promiscuous mode. By compromising the physical security or using a Trojan horse. These two are used for passive sniffing attack. Compromising the physical security means trying to penetrate, trying to put attacker's machine in place of the machine being used by the authorized user. Using a Trojan horse, we all know Trojan horse is look-alike web page or a website, looks like an authenticate site, but if you try to put your login password in that site, it goes to the attacker. What are the countermeasures for passive sniffing attack? Use switched Ethernet. Because switch does not broadcast all information to all systems on the LAN, it regulates the flow of data between its ports by actively monitoring the MAC address on each port. So, switch is a smart intelligent device which actually routes the packet to a specified destination. Active sniffing, the sniffers inject traffic into the LAN. The example is ARP spoofing and MAC flooding. MAC flooding is what in a switch network ARP table ensures IP addresses are mapped to MAC addresses. So, in communication we use logical IP address, but physical packet delivery has to be done through MAC addresses. Who helps in mapping these IP addresses to the MAC address? ARP table. Change the default directed output of a switch to broadcast method. As I said in the previous slide, switch does not broadcast the packet. Now, through MAC flooding, what we want to achieve is configure the switch in the broadcasting mode. How? Flood the network with too many frames so that the switch cannot do IP to MAC address mapping and it has to do a broadcast. Flood as many packets as you can or a switch cannot handle, so that switch will not be able to map the IP mapping and it would broadcast. ARP flooding, ARP finds MAC address from the given IP of machine. The MAC address to IP address table is stored locally on each computer. ARP spoofing involves changing the MAC to IP address entries, causing the traffic to be redirected from legitimate system to an unauthorized system of the attacker's choice. In this case, the attacker is changing the cache where the MAC to IP mapping has been stored. Impersonation, impersonate another person or process. How attacker does the impersonation? Guess the identity and authentication details of the target. Pick up the identity and authentication details of the target from a previous communication or through a wiretapping. Circumvent or disable the authentication mechanism at target computer. Use a target that will not be authenticated. Use a target whose authentication data are known. This slide says circumvent or disable the authentication mechanism on target machine. That means the target machine no longer applies any authentication mechanism, or attacker will try to use a target whose authentication is known, usually a username and password is known. Impersonation, we are talking about authentication foiled by guessing. Many users choose easy to guess password. They keep their friend's name, their birthday, their car number as a password. So, it is easy to guess if you come to know about a person. Many keep default passwords such as guest or admin as a login for default accounts. Guest or null or password are well-known passwords. Administrator forget to delete these accounts or forget to change the passwords. There is something called dead accounts. It says a person has gone out of the university to study somewhere else and his account is not being used for many days or for many years. Now, someone knows that this person has gone out of the university and he will try to send an email to the administrator saying that I am so and so person has gone out of the university to study and I have forgotten the password for my email, kindly send the password. Administrator, thinking that he is the legitimate person, he will send the password, but actually the attacker has sent the request on behalf of the legitimate person. This type of accounts are called dead accounts. Next is authentication thwarted by eavesdropping or wiretapping. I already introduced the term eavesdropping or wiretapping. In client server environment, the users are connected to several machines through authentication. Authentication done by users or automatically through host to host authentication protocol. That means if a user has login into one machine, he is automatically allowed to use the other machine connected to the original machine. The account and authentication details are passed to the destination host. Authentication details are exposed to anyone observing the communication on the network. Impersonator reuses the authentication details until they are changed. It says password is passed in plain text form on the network. Protocols are developed, so password never lives in a plain text form. Microsoft LAN Manager uses cryptographic hash to generate a hash out of that plain text. So that password is never passed in the plain text form. Authentication foiled by avoidance. A weak or flawed authentication allows access to any system or person. In a classic operating system flaw, a buffer is of fixed size. It contains typed characters in a password, counting all character types including backspaces for correction. So, buffer has stored backspaces also. If a user typed more characters than the buffer would hold, overflow is caused and the operating system bypasses the password comparison and act as if correct authentication had been supplied. Then comes non-existent authentication. If two computers are used by the same users to store data and run processes, and if each has authenticated its users on the first access, computer to computer or local user to remote process authentication is now not necessary. For example, in Unix operating system, there is a file called .rhosts. It lists trusted host. So, if the host name is mentioned in this file, there is no need of extra username or password or any authentication detail. He is allowed access. There is .rlogin file that lists trusted users who are allowed access without authentication. This trusted host can be exploited by outsiders who obtain access to one system through an authentication weakness and then transfer to another system that accepts the authenticity of a user. So, attacker realizes that some systems have guest or anonymous accounts for access to everyone and it can exploit this very easily. Well-known authentications. Some vendors ship computers with one system administrative account with default password or demonstration account with no password. SNMP, simple network management protocol, that uses a community string, a password for community of devices that can interact with one another. Many network administrators do not change the default community string installed on a router or switch. For example, grant read-only access to all clients. So, how to configure in community ring? SNMP, community public authorization, read-only. Now, all the clients have got read-only access, they can read. Trusted authentication. Authentication is a problem when identification is delegated to other trusted sources. Means there are other sources who are being trusted for the authentication. So, person when he supplies his authentication details, it goes to that trusted source, authenticates, and then a machine can be used. A file may indicate who can be trusted on a particular host or authentication mechanism for one system can be used for a user. Spoofing. Spoofing means attacker is falsely communicating at the end of the network interchange. Spoofing can occur by masquerade, session hijacking and man in the middle attack. Masquerade means pretending to be the another person. Session hijacking means intercepting and carrying on a session begun by another entity. Man in the middle attack, one entity intrudes between two others. So, these are the various ways in which security of the network can be threatened. So, to summarize, what we have seen in this module is there are certain things which are not being taken care of, and attacker can exploit it. We started by looking at the pinging, and then we saw OS fingerprinting, how a server and its version information can be retrieved. Then we went ahead with authentication, how weak password, no password or a password file can help attacker in attacking the system. Then we saw how masquerade, man in the middle attack and session hijacking can also help attacker in getting the information being passed on the network. Thank you.